Hi, welcome to the Co-op School. We are in the second week of Arusha's suspension. Today we will talk about this week's BoD meeting, how things are going regarding ED responsibilities, and also a couple excerpts from the Audit Committee's meeting. Admissions for Summer 2. I have been handling admissions for Summer 2, Fall and Winter. So far we have up to 19 members coming in for Summer 2. We had to limit the number due to the specific number of rooms we can use for quarantining. During this process, I have been in communication with the Crisis Crew Chief. Here is Vanasis to give more details about the quarantining process.
I started as a crisis response crew chief at the start of the spring quarter, and this was the time that we had 2 members in the leave of absence. They were both in Europe, and they were planning to come back to the co-op. We were all scared, we were all worried, and we were waiting for an outbreak happening at the co-op. So I started quarantining these members, and in the course of 2-3 months, I quarantined 15 members. They were all coming back from their leave of absence, and as part of my responsibility was to make sure that I'm communicating with them and I know what time exactly they're arriving at the co-op so that I can assign them quarantine room right away. This was because we didn't want them to interact with their roommates or any other member in case they were infected. My other responsibility was to bring them food, water, hot water, soap, vacuum, and pretty much everything. Honestly, this was very challenging for me because I was on call for 2-3 months. It was also challenging because members are different. Some members are vegetarian, some have immune reactions to peanuts. It was hard, but I did it happily and proudly because I really think that we were making a difference. We were making this place safer. But moving on to summer session 1, I started to kind of be worried because we were expecting to have 12 new members checking in the same day. This was a problem for me because I had to spend 12 hours for only having 2 or 3 members in quarantine at the same time, but now it's 12 all coming in the same day. So we had an emergency meeting with the BoD members and our executive director Arusha. Based on my recommendation and the discussion that we had in Arusha's plan, we decided to change the policy of quarantine members. Again, everything was the same, but members could get out of their room, get their food, and return back while they're keeping their social distancing, while they're wearing their mask. And honestly, I think this was a very practical approach and a long-term approach because we would expect to have 40-50 members coming in for fall quarter. If that's the case, we cannot serve all those 40 members. And this is something that we continue doing for summer session 2. We're expecting to have 18 new members, and the only alternative that there's a shortcut to quarantine. They can get tested for the COVID-19, but we only accept testing on the check-in date because we want to make sure that while members are waiting for their results, they're in quarantine. They're not exposed to any infection. So they need to wait for their results, which takes about 2 to 5 days in assigned rooms. But surprisingly, I don't know why members don't use this option a lot. Maybe 5%. Most of them stay for 14 days. So the next question is, what happens after quarantining these new members? For now, we still have a lot of empty rooms, and I assigned 2 members who are in quarantine together to an empty room in Nctrnm. But moving on to fall quarter, this might not be the case because we might run out of the empty rooms anytime. And this is what we're discussing in our BoD meetings in these coming weeks. And I really want to ask all of you guys to just be present there, present your ideas. There are a lot of members that are not vocal. There are a lot of members who are not active. These are the decisions that we make, and it affects all of us. So I would really appreciate to have as many as people there. And I would also appreciate if you have any ideas, if you think something is wrong in terms of quarantine, if you have any questions, concerns, please email the crisis crew. And I would be happy to listen to everyone. Stay safe and keep your hair short.
If you have any comments or ideas about how UCHA should assign rooms during this pandemic, please leave a comment below. Start the discussion. If you can, come to the BoD meeting this Thursday. Now to Sam for the weather.
Hey, it's me, Weatherman Sam, here to bring you the Coop Scoop Weather Group to keep you on the loop for all the weather know-hows up all the time. That didn't rhyme. Oh well. Anyway, currently, last week and this week, we are having asbestos precipitation in a scene over here. To you, Mark?
We're outside a scene right now, and they're re-roofing the ceiling right now. There's asbestos falling as we speak. Okay, I'm sorry, Sam. I think I just got.
Thanks, Mark. We've also have rising temperatures in Triple H all around the co-op, really, but there's a wildfire in Triple H. There are 5 high-ranking veteran co-opers stuck in a burning office. We also got Mark on the point. Mark? Okay, also please expect thunderstorms around all this week. It's going to be the biggest storm since 1999, the blizzard of 99, as we like to call it around here. It's currently called Tropical Storm. Will be Hurricane. Should get to Category 1 beginning of this week, up to a Category 4 by the middle of the week. It's going to be dangerous, so you got to do what you can to stay safe. I'd recommend support the boards in your house. I know I am. Anyway, don't go out. No one is. There's nothing to do. Anyway, I know I gotta go support my boards. So I will see you guys later.
The BoD meeting. The board was asked if Arusha's suspension would end this Monday. There were no comments made. The highlight of the meeting were the 3 old co-opers that have previously been on the board. Their statements were not discussed during the meeting, but in breakout rooms. The board was careful due to the fear of potential litigation. They had to maintain their silence. I reached out to 3 of those members after the meeting. Tom is willing to share his statement, and if he does, you'll be able to reach it through the co-op scoop. The other 2 members chose not to for now, the main reason appearing to be, again, legal safety. Later on, members had a discussion about the no guest policy. Opinions differed from imposing more restrictions to allowing co-opers to have guests in their rooms. The president suggested a committee to be formed to create a poll and write a proposal about the policy. Audit Committee meeting. Thanks to this committee's initiation, UCHA will be spending around $20,000 less every year.
Anyway, one of the concerns we had that we actually talked to Arusha before his suspension regarding that we were paying a lot of money on credit card fees and PayPal.
How much?
If I remember correctly, $80,000. I don't remember if it was per quarter or per year.
It has to be per year.
Per year, $80,000
8
per
or
year.
18?
80.
80?
Yep. Wait. So we asked the executive director for the contract with the credit card companies or the arrangements to the regular fees. There's no whatsoever. He as far as he knew, we have an email from him saying that he didn't know of any contract or fee. He sent us to talk to accounting. So we contacted Abu. Abu saying, he said like there was never a contract. They just set it up. But Abu was really helpful, and after we explained our concerns, he told us that he will reach out to the credit card companies. He did so last week. They told him that they will get back to him. They got back to him this week, and apparently a call was enough to reduce the fees for credit cards from 3.5% per transaction to 2.8% per transaction.
That's crazy.
The only requirement was calling them. So I think that's good.
We still would have paid approximately $62,000 in fees. You can do what stores do and gas stations do and have a different rate for people who would pay with credit compared to cash.
We could also do that. And that might actually be something that works. So basically,
they talked to the accounting department about the expansion fund. The negligence of this fund was mentioned as one of the reasons of Arusha's suspension.
I also talked with Abu about these accounts, expansion fund and capital appropriations. Abu's explanation was that Arusha would budget them every year and then don't move that money, but use it to cover for other expenses when the rest of the budget was over executed or the expenses were like too large. So basically, instead of budgeting correctly, we were over spending, hiding it in these 2 accounts and then not moving the money. And it has happened for long enough that these accounts disappear. They are closed. The bank closed them because we have not put money on them for at least like 10 or 15 years.
Wait, so we just lost all that money?
Not that we lost it, is basically like a large part of that was used to pay for other things that they was not supposed to be used to pay for.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yes, no one said embezzlement, and there's no evidence whatsoever of that happening. What was happening, according to Abu, that's the accountant, and what we can see in the accounts themselves, is that this was money that was budgeted to put in those accounts as required by our bylaws. And that money was never put in those accounts, and that money was used to pay for other things that were not done correctly. So
I'm just saying, in the future, to prevent this kind of problem, it'd be good if future boards would, check in, because this was like a long year lasting problem. So we can set some sort of infrastructure up to have the boards check in with these accounts every 6 months or a year. So I think that could help.
So Jay, that infrastructure is actually built into the board and its conventions already. The problem was that the members who are running for the board were not members who were educated enough to be able to know what that infrastructure is and enforce it.
In that case, we need to set up some sort of education system that educates, incoming BOD members as to what their abilities are.
Yeah, that responsibility is entirely on the executive director. There's guidelines built into the co-op to make it so that he creates that continuity in education. It's completely in his job description.
Which is also in his job description. So
I don't know if it'd be better to have BOD members.
We have come to the end of this week's news. Scoop to doop very soon.